Hello and welcome to Candid Conversation. It's been over 5 weeks since the government announced the demonetization decision. And since then, there is considerable focus on cashless or digital transactions. Niti Aayog is at the forefront of the government's drive to promote digital transactions. To talk about that, the impact of demonetization on the economy and its implementation, we are joined by Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog and one of India's leading economists, Dr. Arvind Panagaria. Welcome, Dr. Panagaria, to Candid Conversation.
Pleased to be here.
How do you see the impact of demonetization on the economy in the short term? And do you expect that any costs now on the economy would be outweighed in the long run?
Answer to your last question is yes, but let me come back to it. I think, 8th November, the Prime Minister announced the discontinuation of 500,000 rupee notes as legal tender. And since then, the effort by the government has been to begin replenishing the cash into the economy while the old we are about more than halfway through, or will be very soon. We had about between 17 and 18 lakh crore rupees in circulation overall. We are now back up to close to about 8 lakh crore. So I think in the coming days we'll see the cash shortage pretty much disappearing. I think quite a bit of progress has happened. You can also correspondingly see in the economy, initially there was a bit of a shock to the economic transactions, and therefore the production activity slowed down. It is gradually coming back up. I think various analysts have been reporting. SKS, which is it used to be called SKS, but now it's called Bharat Finance Inclusion or Bharat Inclusion Finance. I think they had reported in the first week that they work with the self-help groups. They had reported in the first week after 8th November action that the repayments by the self-help groups had dropped to about 10% of what was due. In the third week, they had come back up to about 97%. Similarly, I think there are other analysts, Neelkant Mishra at Credit Suisse, writing that in the south and west, by the end of third week, the activity was back up about 90%. East and north have been slower. But I think since these reports that I have quoted, further progress has happened, also some of the estimates, like RBI has put out an estimate. It's downgraded the growth rate from 7.6 to 7.1, so it sees a modest kind of impact, at least in the short run. And in the longer run, my take really is that this is going to help us big time. Efficiency of transactions will improve, productivity will rise, and above all, some of the savings that were not being financially intermediated will now be financially intermediated and therefore used more productively.
That's about the impact on the economy, but some people are questioning the implementation of demonetization. They point to long queues outside banks and ATMs, banks being short on cash, ATMs running dry. Could more steps have been taken for smoother implementation of the decision?
Right, there certainly, no doubt, there has been a lot of pain on the part of the people, and I think my heart goes out to them. Thankfully, I think people have understood the true motivation behind why Prime Minister took this action, and they have generally welcomed it, and so the queues have been generally orderly. That being said, returning to implementation, as you know, the action required utmost secrecy, and that to some degree tied the government's hands in terms of what prior preparation could have been done. Secondly, I think also in defense of the government, I would say that This is an unprecedented step. Nowhere in either our own history or the history of the world such an action has been taken, an action that in effect wipes out about 85% of the currency in circulation. Replenishing it then is not an easy affair unless a whole lot of notes have been printed in advance and all, but given the secrecy that was required for it, it was simply not possible. I think given these considerations, taking these considerations into account, I have to say that the Reserve Bank of India has done an admirable job of speedily both doing printing of the new notes and also bringing the cash in circulation back up. So I sort of appreciate and thank the people for their patience, but we are pretty much getting there now.
Okay. A media report has quoted the Controller General of Accounts, M.J. Joseph, whose office comes under the Ministry of Finance and is responsible for accounting of the Consolidated Fund of India, as saying that first the procedures need to be put in place for use of e-wallets so that the money that is transacted through e-wallets and what is due to the government comes safely into the government's coffers. Are there structural issues that still need to be sorted out?
A lot of the digital platforms have been functioning, and I have heard no complaints so far. So far so good. There are several platforms that the government supports, and is actually UPI being the principal one of those, but also USSD. And the government is trying to bring in more transactions through these platforms. But safety, of course, and security of the transactions remains the utmost concern of the government, and every step, and particularly the RBI, the RBI tends to be very conservative in this matter. It will not, most merchants actually who use the digital platforms and transact digitally have been actually complaining that the RBI has been, if anything, too conservative. Security will be fully ensured, and if any additional steps are required, certainly both the RBI and the Government of India will take those steps. The government and RBI both are very aware of these issues.
Two pegs on which the implementation of demonetization stands are banking and taxation structure. Arrests were made in the recent past of banking officials, so instances of corruption have come to the fore there in that sector. Should all this act as a wake-up call for reforms in both banking and taxation?
Absolutely. I think, these are reforms that have been talked about for decades, actually, I should say. Not an affection. I think we did actually, in terms of simplification, reduction in tax rates, a good bit of progress was made actually after 1991 set of reforms. So progress was made, but in the last few years, I think, we have not done enough. Also, there has not been a clear frontal attack on curbing corruption, which is one of the key policy agendas of the present Prime Minister. And so within that context, I think it is essential that we revisit both our tax, not only tax laws, but also tax administration.
There needs to be greater integrity in tax and banking administration, isn't it?
Absolutely. And part of the problem, as I have been saying actually in some of the other interviews, is that our tax laws, particularly tax rules and regulations, are not fully codified. They leave too much discretion to the tax officer, and the result of that is that then, of course, that leaves room for the taxpayer and the tax officials negotiating as to how much will be the tax liability. We ought to also eliminate as far as possible exemptions. And once the simplification happens, it will become a lot easier to codify the rules also and leave minimal gray areas for the discretion or to the discretion of the tax officers. I think if we do that, we would go a long way towards eliminating the scope for corruption.
Anil Bokil, who's a member of the Pune-based Arthakranti Pratishthan, who's also credited for being the first person to have proposed demonetization to the Prime Minister, has said that the current flawed taxation system needs to be replaced with a banking transaction tax in which customs duty, excise duty, income tax, etc. can be done away with, and a banking transaction tax is alone levied. This some are seeing also in the context of how raids have recovered black money in new currency notes. Do you think that something like this should be taken up?
Well, I think that is the kind of change in the system which ought to be looked into very, very carefully before we make any sort of move. To begin with, any replacement of the current taxes by a transactions tax could actually lead to massive financial disintermediation, right? Because if every transaction is subject to certain tax, meaning any withdrawals from the banking system or deposits into the banking system and all, then people will hesitate to actually do those transactions through the banking system and go outside of it. And so this can in fact be incredibly disruptive of economic activity. So any merits that such a proposal may have need to be thought of very, very carefully before any such move is actually made.
The Finance Minister has said that post-demonetization tax collection is expected to go up, and thus tax rates can become more reasonable. So do you expect a decline in direct and indirect tax rates post-demonetization, maybe in the near term or the medium term?
It does seem to me that this is a very opportune moment for us to think back and do the pending reforms in the simplification and rationalization of the tax system. I think there's a huge amount of scope, particularly with respect to the exemptions. If we really start cutting and hopefully even nearly eliminating the exemptions, then I think that it clearly opens up the scope for reducing the tax rates without any loss of revenue. It also allows us to then widen the tax base. I think one of the problems we have currently is that the tax base is extremely narrow. So even though income tax actually contributes significantly to the overall tax revenues.
But do you expect the tax base to now increase post demonetization?
No, we ought to. I think post demonetization without other actions we'll see only limited. I think some expansion we'll see, because clearly the current action by the Prime Minister sends a very strong signal that he's not going to tolerate people evading taxes or people creating black money, etc., which of course gets created the moment you evade taxes, and so that will perhaps encourage more taxpayers to come into the tax net rather than evade taxes. Also the drive towards digitization will actually bring what used to be not reported into the reporting net. So certainly some expansion of the tax base will happen, but I think from a longer term perspective we should also create conditions that encourage rather than discourage taxpayers from paying taxes.
All right, so on that point in time, we'll take a break on Candid Conversation. We are today in conversation with Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, Dr. Arvind Panagadia.
प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क योजना ने हम गांव वालों के लिए तरक्की के रास्ते खोल दिए।
सड़क के गड्ढों की फोटो खींच रहे हो? कोई खास बात है क्या?
अरे काका, मेरे मोबाइल फोन में मेरी सड़क ऐप है, जिससे प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क से जुड़ी कोई भी जानकारी सरकार तक भेजी जा सकती है। सड़क से जुड़े सुझाव या शिकायत पर सरकार वाजिब कार्यवाही करती है।
प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क से जुड़ी कोई भी बात, मेरी सड़क एंड्रॉइड ऐप अब हर पल मेरे साथ।
अरे सुबह सुबह इतनी जल्दी मचा रखी है? हाँ बाय पापा। आप में से कौन कौन विदेश में हायर स्टडीज के लिए लोन लेना चाहता है?
मैडम इंटरेस्ट कितना होगा?
जो भी अल्पसंख्यक स्टूडेंट विदेश में पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट डिप्लोमा, मास्टर्स, एमफिल, पीएचडी जैसी हाई स्टडीज के लिए लोन लेना चाहता है, उसके इंटरेस्ट पर सरकार सब्सिडी दे रही है। यानी आपके एजुकेशन लोन का इंटरेस्ट अब सरकार चुकाएगी।
मदद हमारी, मंजिल आपकी।
नहीं यार, अब ये रैगिंग बिल्कुल बर्दाश्त नहीं हो रही है। कंप्लेन तो करनी पड़ेगी।
तू पागल हो गई है क्या? सीनियर से पंगा लेगी तो तेरा और बुरा हाल करेंगे।
नो यार, हेल्पलाइन नंबर है, आई एम श्योर दे विल हेल्प।
हेल्पलाइन नंबर से कभी किसी को हेल्प नहीं मिलती।
एटलीस्ट वी शुड ट्राई।
आपकी थोड़ी सी हिम्मत और एक कंप्लेन की वजह से आपको रैगिंग जैसी बीमारी से छुटकारा मिल सकता है। यूज हेल्पलाइन, इट हेल्प्स।
आत्मविश्वास की नई ताकत, सहारा इंडिया लाइफ इंश्योरेंस के साथ।
प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क योजना ने हम गांव वालों के लिए तरक्की के रास्ते खोल दिए।
सड़क के गड्ढों की फोटो खींच रहे हो? कोई खास बात है क्या?
अरे काका, मेरे मोबाइल फोन में मेरी सड़क ऐप है, जिससे प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क से जुड़ी कोई भी जानकारी सरकार तक भेजी जा सकती है। सड़क से जुड़े सुझाव या शिकायत पर सरकार वाजिब कार्यवाही करती है।
प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क से जुड़ी कोई भी बात, मेरी सड़क एंड्रॉइड ऐप अब हर पल मेरे साथ।
आज रिजल्ट आएगा।
बेस्ट ऑफ लक।
इस बार क्लास में फर्स्ट आया है डेविड।
पर अब क्या हुआ डेविड?
मुझे आगे पढ़ना है, पर पापा कहते हैं पैसे नहीं है।
पैसे नहीं है, वो देखो।
प्री मैट्रिक स्कॉलरशिप स्कीम
अल्पसंख्यक समुदाय के उन बच्चों के लिए है जिनकी सालाना पारिवारिक आय 1 लाख रुपए से कम है और जिन्होंने पिछली कक्षाओं में 50% अंक प्राप्त किए हैं, और लड़कियों के लिए 30% स्कॉलरशिप निर्धारित है।
मदद हमारी, मंजिल आपकी।
प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क योजना ने हम गांव वालों के लिए तरक्की के रास्ते खोल दिए।
सड़क के गड्ढों की फोटो खींच रहे हो? कोई खास बात है क्या?
अरे काका, मेरे मोबाइल फोन में मेरी सड़क ऐप है, जिससे प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क से जुड़ी कोई भी जानकारी सरकार तक भेजी जा सकती है। सड़क से जुड़े सुझाव या शिकायत पर सरकार वाजिब कार्यवाही करती है।
प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क से जुड़ी कोई भी बात, मेरी सड़क एंड्रॉइड ऐप अब हर पल मेरे साथ।
Here gravity and physics don't call the shots, and sound travels slower than you. This is a different kind of place. That's why we're looking for different kind of people, for whom excellence is not a job, but a way of being, be it in the sky or on the ground. We are looking for an invincible team of invincible people, people who are a cut above.
Join the Indian Air Force to be a cut above.
Welcome back. You're watching Candid Conversation. Our guest this week is Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog and one of India's leading economists, Dr. Arvind Panagadia. What are the other steps, Dr. Panagadia, that need to be taken to curb black money besides demonetization? You earlier talked about how exemptions should be done away with, how discretionary powers of tax officers should be curbed. But most of the reports say that most of the black money in our economy is parked in gold and real estate. So what can be done on those fronts?
Okay. So very good question. Take first real estate. One of the things we should acknowledge is that even the step that the Prime Minister has taken has led to some decline in black economy wealth that is parked in real estate, because as you know, the real estate prices have actually dropped by about 25% or so. That drop in prices, of course, means that drop in the value of real estate, and to the extent that some of this real estate value is in black money parked in assets, money that was not fully legally kind of channeled into those into those assets. To that extent, I think black wealth is also reduced. But also, I think going forward, we need to take actions as I suggested in the case of taxation, also in real estate, so that that those transactions that are done in real estate are all done in white rather than
because the Prime Minister hinted in a rally in Goa that his next target would be Benami transactions.
Right. So there is, of course, Benami transactions which have happened, which also need to be reversed. and for that the Prime Minister had already brought the Amendment Act, and now he's saying that he's going to act on that. But in addition, I think part of the reason the transactions in real estate are partially in black is very high stamp duties. Now these stamp duties, in some of the states go all the way into double digits, although in some states they are reasonably low. So we should try to, this is a state matter, central government cannot do it. Nevertheless, I think, we can inform the states that, look, this super high stamp duties actually lead to the transaction substantially going into black. And therefore it might make sense to actually reduce these rates. We may want to also revisit the capital gains taxation in real estate to the extent that it may be extra high. The capital gains taxation, that also leads to the underreporting of the value of the transaction. Now come to gold, which is another asset in which a lot of the black money gets parked. At least one thing we can do is revisit the issue of the custom duty. Gold that actually is smuggled in obviously has not been declared, so it will be sold in black, and if it's sold in black, you expend for the black money. And so let gold come in legally, wipe out the smuggling part of it, and one way to do it is to end the custom duty. Any loss in revenues, no doubt there will be loss in revenues, but it can be made up by shifting to the GST. I think we can set the GST currently, of course, excise. We can, but eventually we are going to move to GST, and so the GST rate can be appropriately adjusted so that any loss in revenue in the customs is made up by the slightly higher GST rate, and that would basically bring the gold imports into white. And to the extent that that was contributing to black money, we would eliminate the corresponding black transactions.
You were talking about how states should be made to understand the merits of some of these reforms that you pointed out. But since you interact on a regular basis with states, politics aside, what do they tell you about demonetization?
So, states have been supporters. Actually, as you know, we have had this committee on digitization of transactions, which includes several chief ministers, and they have all been incredibly supportive, and they are also helping us drive in a big way digitization. States themselves see, like Chandrababu Naidu, who chairs this committee, to some degree you could say he is ahead of the central government in a way in terms of digitizing the economy in Andhra Pradesh. So I think the states have generally been very, very supportive. They recognize that this has created hardships to the people, but insofar as people themselves have been supportive, I think the state governments are also generally supportive.
Since one of the objectives of demonetization is a move to a less cash economy, you refer to a committee of chief ministers who's looking into that shift. But what are the challenges that you see in that shift? Is there a roadmap that the Niti Aayog has for maximum digitization?
Right. Well, I think, immediately the idea is to capture the opportunity that has been offered by demonetization and bring in more and more people into the net of digital transactions. So in the short term, one can get a big jump, and I think once people have learned to actually transact digitally, they are very likely to stay with it. It's just a technological barrier which one needs to overcome, and an opportunity for that has been provided. Now, for the longer term, of course, ultimately to turn the economy into primarily a digitized digital transactions economy, that will require some bit of time, and we also need to build up the infrastructure. There is no question, for example, having availability of broadband all around will substantially facilitate the expansion. I think right now in the rural areas and all, we still are waiting, not everywhere, in some states are ahead of the others, but still I think broadband would require another year or two to arrive, particularly at the household level. At the panchayat level it might arrive a little sooner. But that's required. Then also we need to continue to work on the simplification of the various applications that are used to transact digitally.
Is enough being done to educate people? Incentives like cash rewards have been announced already, but is enough being done to educate people so that they can make a seamless shift to such cashless transactions and they stay on them, because this requires giving up old habits, changing mindsets?
Absolutely. So there is a big campaign underway. Niti Aayog itself has actually involved all the collectors in the districts, and the collectors are then being urged to actually go to the block level and then down, block officers going down to the panchayat level, and we are also trying to mobilize the instrumentality of college students, school students, so various institutions that can help expand this, because particularly if we can convince the youngsters, if we can get the youngsters to learn to transact digitally, they will also then teach their parents and older brothers and sisters to transact digitally also. So I think that those are the instrumentalities that we are very much working on currently.
1 year from now, how will we look at the demonetization decision?
Oh, I'm quite confident that we would look back and say that this was an absolutely master stroke by the Prime Minister, that it will think of it as a landmark in the fight against corruption. And historically, I think, just a year from now, but 10 years from now or 20 years from now, when economic historians sit back to write the economic history, they'll see this as a turning point in our economic history.
Thank you, Dr. Panagadia, for having joined us on Candid Conversation.
Pleasure.